There you go.
So for those of you joining, this is the live Q&A with Dr. Rob, and Dr. Rob is not here. So, but we have a great substitute filling in for him. Karen Brown is our clinical director for the Seeking Integrity Treatment Program. She's been doing this work for a long time, and is one of the most sincere people in working with clients and partners that I've seen. She
wow.
really cares. We both care, so we get teary-eyed sometimes about clients and things. So anyway, this is your opportunity to ask her questions. We're going to get started. We have some, but please feel free to pop them in the Q&A. If it's helpful for us to know if you're a betrayed partner, if you're someone struggling with addiction, if there was discovery and it was, 10 days ago or, 5 years ago, let us know those details. They don't need to be long, but just enough that we can do our best to answer them. So without further ado, if you want to follow along in the Q&A, the first one is, I am the betrayed spouse. D-Day was 15 months ago. I have been with my sex addict husband for 21 years, 4 kids, ages 4 to 19. My sex addict husband is sober and doing all the right things in recovery. He validates me, has started to show empathy, goes to daily meetings, weekly therapy, has a sponsor. I attend weekly therapy and have amazing support group thanks to the supremely intelligent Dr. Rob and Tami. That's so kind of you.
It's so true. It's so true. Okay.
I don't read ahead, so that was kind of caught me off guard. So, but every day I am more disgusted by what he did for our entire marriage. I no longer love him, and I'm not sure if I ever will be able to again. I'm still very upset, angry, and sad most of the time. I can't get over what he has done. The hundreds of women, relationships, STDs, etc. What can I do to help me stay in this relationship and get over this and move on? Oh, thanks for sharing that. I hear the pain.
I do too.
And I'm sorry. So
one of the things that that's very common, and the words may seem trite, but there's a process of grief and loss that I think really occurs when anybody is in a close relationship. They truly love somebody, they trust them, everything, and it's like as if somebody passed away. The person that I knew, the person that I loved, that I shared my secrets and my heart with, is not the person I thought that they were. Now, what I'm hearing good about this is that he is in recovery and he is working recovery actively. It's not just a journey that's a few steps and I'm done, or a few months and it's over with. Hopefully they're continuing to work with their therapists, with their groups, to get past whatever it is inside that led them down this path. But what's even more important for you, and I wish I could just reach out and give you a hug, honestly, because it's going to be your continued work, and it's work to heal a heart that is broken, that has been abused, and that's another word for acting out and cheating. That you reach out and you stay connected to the women that you are with in recovery, and that you continue to work with your therapist, because it is a trauma. That's why we call it betrayed spouses and partners. You are in a trauma mode right now, my guess. And you continue, it's going to keep coming back up. You're going to have those flashbacks of, what about this? What if he's still lying? All the what ifs that are there. And the spouses that I know, and I know Tami will agree with this, that we see that can finally make it over to whatever the next step is for you, because we can't predict that in your life, is the ones that continue to work and seek support from their peers that understand exactly what you're going through. And it's also grief and loss, and that process takes whatever time it takes for you. But I admire the heck out of what you're doing, and that you're reaching out and saying this so that other women can hear exactly how it feels. So Tami, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I had a couple of thoughts too. Like, I love that you're doing therapy. I don't know if you've been doing some trauma work, but with that discussed, I bet you have. I hear this often, so I'm thinking that you may be having like a body reaction, that sick stomach, and just nauseous about being disgusted, and and angry and upset. And doing some EMDR around those specific things, it won't take it away. Nothing's going to make it magically different. I agree with what Karen said. It's grieving the loss of what you thought you had, who you thought he was. But I know many couples that eyes wide open, can move forward. One of the things I thought of was the Stockdale paradox. I won't get this all right, but it's, he was in the concentrate, he was in a prisoner of war camp. That's what it was. And he and his group stayed alive, and they said, you have to understand how bad it really is, but also have hope for the future. And I kind of feel like you're in that it was really bad, but that there can be hope for the future, because you're seeing that he's doing some things right. He's making an honest effort. And I really think if you can, and it isn't giving him a pass or anything, but people who struggle with the compulsive behaviors, they have brokenness, there's wounding, and it's not an excuse, it's a reason. But if you can go, that was a broken person, and he was doing the best he could. He used really horrible methods, just to numb out, escape, survive, but he's working on doing it differently. If you can kind of just have that, snapshot of, okay, this is my reality right now, but absolutely grieving the loss of what you have. I don't think you can't love him naively like you did before, like where you knew this person was all in, and it's you and me against the world, and we're gonna, as long as we have each other, and he'll never hurt me, because he did, and he hurt you deeply. So I recognize all of that. But if you can see that this person is working to become a different person, that he's working to become a trustworthy person, he is, like Karen said, he's doing the work. Lots of people don't. I mean, I can't tell you how many calls I get a day where people are like, oh, it's really, really bad. Oh, I don't want to do that. I wrote a blog about it, because I was like, I was like, this happens all the time, so it's one of those where he's trying, and he's doing, I won't even say trying, I don't like that word. He's taking action to do things differently. And so in the moment, I think journaling, Harriet Hunter did a webinar on journaling. There's huge therapeutic value to that. And I think journaling some of that pain and the disgust may help you, get that toxicity out too. So I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so glad you're connected to the drop-in group and the women in the community. And they're amazing. They're resilient.
They are.
Yeah.
And
you are
I
too.
I can't agree more with Tammy on trauma work, because this is a trauma for you. And this is something that you can get through, and things will be different, but you can work. It's time for you to be able to work for yourself, for your healing, and take care of you. And that's the most important thing that you can do right now. You've kids and everything, and you've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So I do see how you're split apart. And I really hope that you can reach out and get some help in that area. I think it'll be better for you if you do. So thank you so much for being honest and putting it out here.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay. Next question. Hello, I am the sex addict male, 52 years old, gay, married, 8 months of Sex Addicts Anonymous therapy, and just started coaching. My husband has told me many times during the past 8 months that he feels safer when I share my struggles with him. He wants to know whenever I feel an urge or think about acting out. He believes that as my sobriety and celibacy days increase, I should be triggered more and more. He thinks I should be sharing my feelings multiple times every hour. Oh, I've tried to tell him that I'm not finding myself triggered all the time every day. Sometimes I'm sincerely not upset or lost in fantasy. I definitely don't want to start sharing contrived emotional states just so he'll feel safe. How can I help him feel safe even when I'm not feeling triggered? That's thank you for putting that out there. I've actually heard a version of the story, before, but I feel for partners. They're looking for safety. So I get it. So Karen, what are your thoughts?
The same thing that you're saying, Tammy. I think the partners, when you really love somebody and you're connected, addiction is a disease, and you want them to get better. You want them to have the right medicine that gets them better. The right medicine sounds like that's what's going on, is is if you're doing treatment, if you're doing recovery work, if you're doing all those kind of things, and the partner is so concerned that, tell me everything because I want to protect you. Tami, it's a codependence book. Could be a good idea in this case. What do
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah. Codependence, moving beyond
Mhm,
codependency. Dr. Rob wrote for partners
mhm,
about loving someone. But I was thinking too, like
mhm.
your husband's focus is you and your addiction. So it's all
Right,
consuming for your husband. And like, what self-care is he getting? What
yeah,
trauma work is he getting to help him? You checking in with how, and Karen can talk about check-ins and like
right,
what's an appropriate check-in versus like multiple times every hour. So what,
right. One of the things we always recommend, and I always have, is that the couple get together 5-10 minutes, whatever they can squeeze out of a day, make it the same time, whether it's morning or evening. Make sure that there's no one around, TV's not on, animals are not walking around everywhere, and you sit there and you look at one another face to face. We always ask to check in with, the question, how do I feel? What am I feeling? And not for the other person to challenge or to try to dig it deep into it, just to hear you express yourself and for them to express how they're feeling. Like, I'm feeling sad and I'm feeling mad. Well, I don't want to fix it for them. I want them to tell me how they feel. And then, are there any issues going on that I don't know about? In other words, like, do I need to make an amends about something? Maybe I said something that upset you the other day, or maybe this or that. But to each person as human beings, as a real coupleship, is to look at one another and spend that intimate time talking to one another for a brief period of time. If for some reason something comes up in the middle of it, then you must set a time frame that you both agree to come back to in the same day to complete that process. So it's not a judgment, it's not a rescue, it's not a this, it's just expressing your feelings and emotion and anything that you may be struggling with. And that way, your partner, your husband has a feel for what's happening, but he may not be able to fix it, and he doesn't have to fix it. The fact is, you two are talking to one another in a very intimate way. And that's how you build an intimate relationship with one another. So
and I was
that's,
thinking, and your husband gets to share, I'm not feeling safe because I'm
mhm,
in my world, I'm concerned that you're this, and this, and it isn't for you to fix that for him. Like you talked about, I don't want to make things up. Oh, please don't, making things up just makes it worse. And,
right.
seeking integrity is our treatment program. We look for integrity. Karen tells clients all the time, tell the truth and tell it faster. Lying
Mhm,
on not just about the addictive behaviors, but lying about anything is problematic. So lying to try to appease someone else,
right.
either way, you minimizing things or making things up, it just perpetuates the lie. So, but if your husband has not had support yet, and it's not that he needs therapy or whatever, it's more about
Mhm,
the support, the betrayal, and him feeling triggered by you not feeling triggered, all of that is complex, but him getting support for that, and maybe doing some couple sessions where you
mhm,
navigate
absolutely.
how to have those conversations in a safe way, could be helpful too. But you thrilled you're here, great that you're doing your SA
Mhm.
work and things, and and your husband's sticking in it with you for the
There you go.
good. You guys are, yeah. So
That's
okay,
positive.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's a men's betrayed partner group on Tuesday nights. Just saying. So
They're just saying.
yeah. Okay. The other day, Dr. Robin Tammy said you're not a huge fan of Covenant Eyes because it's a blocker and not a filter. Can you expand on that and suggest other software or app? So it isn't about not Covenant Eyes or Covenant. It's not about the brand. It's because addicts, adult addicts, teenage addicts can game around the blockers. I mean, I hear that all the time. So a
Mhm,
blocker is great for younger people, but a
mhm,
filter that can give a report on what so like if I had a filter on my computer and I was thinking about if I was
mhm.
going to type something and Karen was going to see it, it gave me that moment of like, ooh, do I want Karen to see this? Do I really want to go to that site? And I can still do it, but Karen's going to go, hey, what were you doing Monday night? I see at 5:15 or whatever you were on. What's going on? So it's not about the brand, but yes, as far as resources on sexandrelationshiphealing.com. I think it's on that site. So we've got two different sites. Okay. So on sexandrelationshiphealing.com, the resource tab, there's blogs about the different software, and it's updated about once a year because, like there's new technology that comes out as well. But for kids, blockers are great. For older, filters, and it really is about giving them a second, to think about things, which, addicts, it's all about the impulse, but ultimately it's only as good. I mean, people go buy a second phone. I mean, they can do all of those things. So it really is only a measure to help, give a, that moment of pause. So
and the pause, the pause is so important, because our mind is, I tell people all the time, get out of your head and go to your heart. If I have a thought, a flash, something crosses my mind, which is about acting out or a memory or whatever, is you have to pause and go to your heart. And you have to ask yourself, is this what I want to do? Will this hurt somebody? Would I do this if my spouse or partner was standing here? And the answer is going to be no. And if the answer comes from your heart, it goes back to your head, and then you take the action that's right for you. Some of the software that's out there, we'll do it all the time. There will maybe a screen flash, like take a picture of a screen, and a notice goes to someone that says, hey, John Brown was, looking at this. And then someone that is in recovery, somebody that can be the person that gets that message and doesn't mind picking the phone up and calling you and say, hey, what's going on? Just to try to intervene at that moment and say, if you need help, please talk to me. I am here. I've agreed to be a person to receive some kind of report or some kind of flash or something like that, and to reach back out to help one another. So that works well too, if you want it to. You've got to be you, or it's got to be the person that's acting out, that they choose to do that, because they have options on that.
In recovery, we're given a multitude of tools to use. And if we let them sit on the ground and we don't pick them up, they're of no use. They aren't going to do anything on their own. It really is, in the 12-step big books, it talks about into action. And so all of these tools are things that we can use to be on an active recovery journey. So hopefully that clarifies it. Like I said, it's not about the brand or any, like I am not against Covenant Eyes, it's just having the right tool for the right person. So.
And the right age. I agree with you, Tami. It's a lot different when it's somebody that's younger as well, a child.
So to all betrayed partners, 2.5 years ago, my SA partner did a vomit dump graphic disclosure on his betrayal. Those images still haunt me on a daily basis without provocation. So trust someone who has been there and knows. You do not want to know every detail. For your sake and sanity, leave well enough to know. I'm going to copy this. I'm serious, because I am I am going to take a photo of this, because I say this all the time to people, and they go, no, I need to know. And I understand that people want safety, but this is exactly what I say, is like, you can't unhear it. You can't unsee it. So I appreciate you sharing that. I'm so sorry for your pain. It just makes it harder for betrayed partners. It's a deeper place to dig out of, on the trauma journey. So,
well, and one of the things I tell every client that I see is, do not, and excuse the words I use, but do not do a bomb drop on your partner or loved one. In other words, do not, because you feel, oh, I'm so sorry, I've done this and I've got to tell you everything right now and go into detail and do all of that. The partner or spouse that's betrayed is not prepared. They don't have backup. They don't have a human being sitting there with them that can hear something and then process it with them. We tell all the clients, please never, ever do a disclosure And that's what we're talking about here. Do not do a disclosure without the help of a therapist being present for your partner and for yourself, so that one, you can prepare for a disclosure, and two, the partner can be prepared to have support, to be prepared to receive a disclosure process. And there's ways of doing that so that you're not living in the place you are living in. So I am so sorry that that has happened. That is something that, no wonder it keeps coming back up over and over again. I would suggest that, again, like we answered a little while ago, is that that's living in that trauma place where that flash comes back up and it won't go out of your head. And it's not your fault. You did not do it. It was done to you. And I really highly recommend you work with a therapist that can help you process through what you heard and things like that. But I advise all clients never do a bomb drop. I think it's, honestly, Tami, I'm going to say this. I will tell everyone, if they feel it's more of their need to clean themselves out of the guilt that they have. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you everything really quick and I'll feel better. And yet the other person is left devastated and has no way to discern what happened or why or anything like that. So please, anyone listening, do not do a bomb drop on disclosure. Make sure you've got therapists involved and have you prepared to present, and have the spouse or partner prepared to receive what is said and have support on the spot to help you get through that, because it's a very difficult process.
Yeah, and I will qualify it with qualified therapists, because lots of therapists don't know what they're doing with disclosure. Dr. Rob does a peer case consultation group for professionals. The #1 topic every week is disclosure. So it's a complicated process. I call it a vomit disclosure because I think that's exactly what happens. Is somebody vomits all this information, and then the poor partner is left with the stench of the vomit all over them. They don't know what hit them. And the other person's going, oh, I feel better. I feel better now. Yeah, that's all I need to do. Yeah. Yeah. So it is very one-sided. And even if because I hear, well, my partner, like the question a couple ago, my partner really wants this. They think they want it. What they want is safety. And, like they, tell me everything. Okay. And it's just, it's so challenging. And so all of this is hard. All of this is hard stuff. If you're the addict, if you're the partner, having a relationship, navigating through it. So working with the right people, the right qualified professionals, it really makes a difference. So, but I'm so sorry. Okay. Next question. Hi, I'm the spouse who betrayed my wife. I currently moved out after I stupidly did a staggered disclosure and opened up a wound 2.5 weeks ago. So we are separating for 3 months and we are not pursuing divorce. That's good of your partner. I am trying to reestablish trust with my wife and just show up, although not physically, but emotionally, during a separation where the addict me is trying to help her heal her broken heart and reestablish trust. What do I say to her, and how do I show her I am growing emotionally while not together? She gets triggered every day, and I try to listen and validate, but she gets very triggered and blows up at me pretty badly. We are both in phase 2 group, her female group and me a male group. I don't know what that is. We went to a Colorado intensive with the other Weiss. That's a whole nother story. And she has strong opinions that I don't always agree with. She also has her parents and 2 best friends telling her I'm a waste and to get divorced. With so many vying opinions, how do I show up and help repair harm and wounds?
First of all, there's no way you're going to show up at this point in time and repair a heart that's been stabbed and crushed. And I hate to put it that way, but that's exactly it. If I loved you and I believed in you and you came along and did a staggered disclosure, that's like stabbing somebody over and over and over again and saying, I'm sorry, but here's more. I'm sorry, but here's more. And again, like we said earlier, that's more of the addict's way of getting off their chest what they feel like they have to say. And again, still creating more trauma by doing that without having the right therapists in place, the people that are trained to be able to help both of you go through a process. I'm glad that you're talking. I'm glad that you care, but you have to really consider not what you care about, but what your spouse is going through. And you can't understand that because you're not the betrayed spouse. Oh, so you don't know. You know it from the addict side and the behaviors, and you want her to love you again and be with you again. She's not ready. She's not ready. You are separated right now for a reason, and she needs her time to heal emotionally before she can even sit down with you and hear what you have to say. She needs her own support and her own safe place. And I'm glad that, I'm sorry for anybody that's not together, but I'm glad that the boundaries are set so that she's got her time. And you're going to have to wait because you're the one that was acting out. Keep doing what you need to do in recovery so that you never go back to that place again. But you can't heal her heart right now. It's got to be, you keep doing what you do. Don't go back to acting out and stay in recovery, and then let the therapist work with you and the spouse to come to a different place of understanding. She needs her space and time that she is safe in, and the people around her that can understand. Agreed, Tami?
What I hear is, of course her parents and her friends, and I'm sorry they all know, because that makes it all harder too, but she was looking for safety. They all somehow know. And of course they're going to tell her to get rid of you. Like, look what you've done. And like Karen said, it's not just a stabbing once. You keep coming back and stabbing her again. And she's got no way of knowing if you're done. Like, you could do this again in another month. The fact that she isn't filing for divorce during that 3 months, like, I mean, really, like, I give her a lot of credit for not, because that would be a not unfamiliar partner reaction. So she must really care about you. What you can do for you're the kind of client that would really benefit from coming to our treatment program. We can help you with all those, you focusing on her, missing the point, completely missing the point. I want to help her heal. No, you want to not focus on what you want her to get better quick so that she forgives you and she takes you in, and then things can be okay again. And I'm going like, whether she takes you in again or not, almost completely irrelevant. What do you need to do? Karen said it too. What do you need to do right now to work on changing? I don't know what the phase 2 stuff is. If it's really helpful, if you've got a sobriety plan, if you're accountability, if you're addressing the underlying issues. Acting out is a symptom. I say this all the time when people call. The acting out is a symptom. What's the underlying issues? Navigating through that. Our alumni consistently say life-changing. I care more when I hear it from partners. I do hear from partners that say this was life-changing. He's different. It's a visible, It's the action that I was talking about a little bit ago. It's like into action, but you focusing, that's so manipulative. I'm sorry, I got a little energy behind this one, but I hear I want to manipulate her into, and those mean parents and friends, they're against me. You did the wrong, and addiction is a reason. It's not an excuse. So you working on you in a really intensive way, I highly encourage. So, but
and I want to add in something in the wording of this is, I did a staggered disclosure and opened up one 2.5 weeks ago. 2.5 weeks ago. People don't cure from a broken leg in 2.5 weeks. And you're asking somebody to feel different and to change what she has gone through with your acting out behavior in 2.5 weeks. She's still in shock. This is shock and awe of, I can't believe what I just heard. I don't know who you are. Get away from me. I need to be safe, and I'm not safe with you right now. And so that's why you've got to do your work. You've got to live it, eat it, breathe it, walk it, be in recovery across the board. Showing her recovery is the first step. And you have to do it for you, or you will relapse and go right back to what you've been doing, or blame it on somebody else and go back out to medicate and do it again. So does it bring out a little bit of with us? It does. Please understand, 2.5 weeks is nothing compared to what probably has been going on for a lot longer than 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, the record right now is someone went to their therapist and lied for 11 years. That's my, I'm sure somebody can beat that. I hate that. What a waste. But like, how long were you betraying her? You know, like if you haven't already read Out of the Doghouse by Dr. Rob, that would be a good one to start with. Like, those are the things that you need to do to start to become trustworthy. I don't even know if you're sober. I mean, I get nothing from all of this. It's like, here's what I've been doing, but you know, but you 2.5 weeks ago, if you're really in, you know, if you were really working on this, you wouldn't be doing another disclosure to her when you've had some professional help. So
Yeah,
my friend,
that's
so I want to leave you with some hope. Do I believe that you can become, our program is Seeking Integrity. We strive for integrity. Do I believe that you can be a person of integrity? I do. I see people all the time learn to change. The focus of this message completely off the mark. So I invite you to do the work you need to do on you. Leave her alone. You know, if she needs to, you know, talk to you or whatever, if you've got kids and she, whatever, that's fine. You leave her alone. You know, you can be accountable, like here's what I'm doing for my recovery today, if she's open to it, but otherwise you leave her alone. She'll reach out to you if she wants to, but she's not divorcing you yet. So you got a chance.
So there's something.
Yeah. It's really more when someone is indifferent, if they get past the anger and they don't care anymore, then divorce is probably
gonna happen.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a space when the betrayer is doing the right things in recovery that the betrayed can release and grieve the true loss after the fear of finding more and finding more? 2.5 years from first discovery, 5 more D-Day bombs, 1 year of couples therapy, that he was still lying. We had therapeutic formal disclosure last November and polygraph, and he is now 3 months of leaning in and doing the right things. I am now worse than before with the trauma and grief. Oh, I totally understand that. I am so sorry. Oh, wait, she adds, I'm assuming she, by the way, 36 years married. He is in SAA therapy and post-disclosure group. I'm in therapy in 2 partners group. So
that's probably the best answer to the question that's being posed, is that, you know, it's been a long marriage. You're both doing some therapy work. You're both trying to heal from whatever you're going through post-disclosure, and the journey's begun in that direction. So it sounds like you're doing all the right things, but again, like we say, there's not a time limit. And I go back to grief and loss. Nobody can tell you how long it's going to take. Nobody can or should tell you, oh, it should take you 2 months or 3 months just to get over it. There's no getting over it. It's how do you piece things back together if you are together, and stay together and grow and build that intimate relationship again. And that's going to take time, and that's going to take effort on both people's side. You've done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. The addict is the person that acted out. And many times the betrayed spouse or partner feel like there's something wrong with them. No, it's not. It's not. It's something about what's going on with the other person that you may not even know about. So it sounds to me like you're doing all the right things right now. And I'm sorry, it's still hurting and everything, but you're right. It's trauma and grief. And that's the work for you to keep doing. And your partner or spouse needs to continue doing their recovery work so that they can get to a different place.
Yeah, and I agree. And like the clock kept getting reset, and now you're at 3 months of him after 36 years married. So you were together presumably before that too. So, you know, let's say 2/3 of your adult life you've been together, you know, and this person who you thought was your partner, that you were walking side by side, you were on this journey, and he has repeatedly, you know, lied, and, you know, and lied to the and unfortunately it happens. And but I do appreciate that he finally got it. You know, he's finally starting to do things. I'm sorry that it took him so long. Some of us are, more challenging than others, but
I call it a little more stubborn than others with
yeah,
that. And
yeah,
I will say,
hanging on.
as a therapist, have I had clients that have lied? Of course I have. One of the things that we ask every single day is to tell me a secret, tell me a lie, tell me something that you have not said and that you're keeping inside. Because the more that they learn to process and get that information out in a safe environment, not necessarily with you, but to get it out, it makes more room inside for what I call the goodness to come in, for the healing to come in, and for them to change the ways and heal so that they don't have to keep acting out again and you don't have to keep getting hurt again. But still, it's not anything that's fast, and you've gone through this for a long time. And I am so sorry that you're hurt in the way that you are, but you're doing the right thing if you're getting help and getting support for you. That's what's important right now.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have set safe boundaries for you.
Mhm.
You've got the support in the partners groups. If you haven't joined the old lady posse, they named it. I didn't. But it's for people who are longer term, married and
Yeah.
hoping, not all of them stay together, but are hoping to work. You've got history together, and so there's a lot. There's a lot for both of you, and while it feels like it was all lies, it wasn't. There are, and
Mhm.
that's part of your grieving process too. It's figuring out, was he lying there, or was it really true? And did
Mhm.
he ever really love me? I mean, all of those, those
Mhm.
painful questions. But the clock got reset. You're at 3 months. He's at 3 months.
Right.
And partners always, like, when somebody's been lying for 36 plus years, then like 3 months is a drop in the bucket. I mean, good for him, but goodness,
Yeah.
so, for you, if he doesn't reset the clock again, hopefully, I hate to say this, but hopefully, by the end of next year, you're feeling things are different. But along the way, you are seeing that he's leaning in now. So hopefully you also have some hope that I'm starting to see him do, more of the right things, and that he
Mhm.
can be accountable at couples therapy, that, there
Mhm.
isn't the lying. Or that it won't be that he won't lie, because he will, but that he comes and tells you the truth faster, that he comes
Mhm.
back and goes, when I lied about, I washed the car, I didn't, or whatever, it's,
Mhm.
I didn't want you to, be disappointed in me or whatever. But hopefully he starts coming back quicker, with honesty. But like Karen
Yeah.
said too, about having those check-ins, making some space, for, to just to share where you're at, each of you, every
It's
day.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm hopeful, but I'm so sorry for the hurt too. So, okay. I'm a betrayed partner and wondering, is it possible to heal if I leave my marriage? Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Um, I never would tell any couple whether to stay together or to separate or to divorce. I would never do that because I'm not in that intimate relationship. I don't know what it looked like. I don't know what's going on inside of each person. So I would never do that. I would, as long as you are comfortable, you need to know with help. Don't make the decision alone. Don't make it in an impulsive way and just do it. Make sure it's what you believe in. If you decide to leave your marriage, um, then make sure that that's what you believe in and that you've got support. You've got a therapist, you've got family or friends that can help support you. Um, will it fix anything? No one knows. No one knows unless they're doing the work with you as to what that looks like. I will say that I worked with a couple, and this is a good one. I did work with a couple, and immediately there was a separation that occurred, and that was good. They had time apart, time to get help together, time to get help separate. And it was about a year later, and that seems like a long time, but it's not anymore. About a year later, that they both got to a place of really being honest and coming back together slowly. And they're celebrating a really high end number of years together now. But it took that whole year to have that separation of finding where they were and who they are. I mean, if I'm in a relationship and it's not good, I'm not even sure who I am. I'm asking myself, the first questions are, what did I do wrong? Now I hear it all the time from a betrayed partner or spouse. What did I do wrong? Was I not good enough? Was I not smart enough? Am I not pretty enough? It's all about, what did I do? And the answer is always, you didn't do anything. You have been you, and your partner is acting out for some other reason. So will it be okay if the marriage ends? I can't give you that answer. I can only hope and send you my support through all the vibes I have, and hope that you make a right decision with someone else to help you and to help ask the questions, and you to keep hearing yourself answering as to what is going to be best for you. And I really suggest that needs to be somebody, not somebody that's trying to protect you because they love you, but somebody that's trained in doing this so that you can look at all sides before you make that decision. But by all means, be safe and know that there's people that are going to care, and stay connected with your friends and whoever your support group is.
So I think it is possible to heal if I leave the marriage, but you have to do the work. It isn't that leaving the marriage magically heals everything, so you still have, I encourage people that are no longer in the relationship, their choice or the other person's choice, to still do the work, with betrayed partners, to understand. I mean, it's important work to find out who you are, separately, as from the relationship as well. Oh shoot, you said something else too, and I lost the train of thought. Doesn't matter. But my point, one of my points was, please come to the to the drop-in groups for betrayed partners, whether you stay or leave. But one of, Karen talked about, the people, like, not just hearing from, like, that person before was, the betrayed partners listening to family and friends and things like that. So yeah, they're all going to be on your side. Yeah, leave that bum, leave that person, leave her, whatever, male or female. But journaling, that was what I was thinking of. I mentioned it earlier, but really making a, like, what would this look like? Who would I visualize myself as if I am out of this relationship? How would that impact me? You will grieve the loss of the relationship. You will grieve, what you had hoped for, but do you see yourself, doing work to do something else and not just jumping into another relationship? Like, how do you see yourself more self-actualized, if outside of that, but I think it's important to, really make a decision and not a reaction. But like, I am a big believer in, writing down, if I do this, what will, what do I think is going to happen? So it's concrete, and it's not just like, oh, it's all going to be great because that person's going to be out of my life and I can, I mean, it's not like, I'm still going to be with me. So yeah.
And some parts of journaling, Tami, that can help sometimes is to write down what you're thinking and then turn around and respond to it, as if you're talking to yourself inside. And, I'm thinking I need to leave this person, and my life will be different. And then the other part is an answer from yourself to yourself that says, well, if I do that, then I'm worried about this and that. Get everything out on both sides. Don't just look through the glasses like this. Open it up, and you're the only one that knows yourself inside. And answer your questions. But breathe, walk away, step away from what you wrote, then come back, read what you wrote, and then respond to it. Because that's how you're processing inside what is going on with you. And that's great work also if you're seeing a therapist, to be able to show them what you're doing.
And I think it's, information is important. So consulting a divorce attorney, what will this look like for me? If you've got children, because it so varies by state. What will this look like for, for child support, for child care, for expenses, so that you have that information and are making a decision, whether you stay or go. Everybody has to make their own choice, as to what that looks like, but having the most information. So again, like Karen said, the lens is wider, not just, oh, I have to get out, or I have to stay because of, like, I can't afford to, well, you may or may not, I don't know, but getting that information, at least gives you clarity, for having a conversation and dialogue. So, okay. Next question. My essay said he lists porn and images on paper. Why would he not list live people like coworkers or strangers walking down the street? Is it possible they are selective in what they, lust. Oh, I'm sorry.
Lust, that's it.
Okay.
So
he lusts porn and images on paper. Why would he not just lust people like coworkers and strangers walking down the street? Is it possible they are selective in what they lust?
absolutely. One of the things that I always add to this is if somebody's looking at magazines or videos or whatever, remember they have the power and the control. They can turn it off or turn it on. So there's nobody else around, and I can decide turn it on or open that magazine up or look at the video that's there or get in the chat room. I'm in power and control. That's part of my addictive process, is to be in power and control. If I'm acting out with another person, or I'm walking down the street stalking somebody, and I'll use the word stalking because usually people know, they get the feeling when you're just looking at them and things like that, then they can be caught. It's too easy. Sometimes it's the secrecy. It's that it's more intense, and we're looking for intensity that escalates in any type of addiction, especially sex addiction, sex love relationship addiction. Intensity seeks a higher level over and over and over again. So I'll do more risky things because I need more intensity to keep feeding my brain. Dr. Fawcett does a great job talking about what happens with the brain and the arousal template and things like that. But what I see many times is that it's a person that seeks power and control, but they don't do it out in the open. And they get that power and control by having the ability to press the button on a computer, flip to a screen, turn to a page. They feel they have power. Now, I'm not talking empowered. I'm talking they feel like they have power and control. And that also they're skirting the issue and nobody's going to get hurt or get in trouble, because I will hear that, well, they're not real. Well, it may not be that they're real, but they're probably real to somebody. And I always ask myself, what if that person has a picture and is doing something, or, posing in some way? It doesn't mean that they have a choice. With all of the things that go on nowadays, many people have their children that are threatened, or things are threatened for their bodily harm or things like that. And they have to take pictures. They have to be in videos. It's not always a choice that they have. So I try to make them human. And that's what we tell all of our clients is, do not objectify. They're not an object. They are a human being. And once you turn them into that human being, then the objectification can go away. So just throwing that out, not knowing him at all or knowing what his stuff is that's one of the things I throw out there as a thought.
So what I was wondering about, and I would love to have you speak on, is this also feels like somebody who can do a lot of fantasy, because especially images on paper, like it's one thing when it's streaming and there's 1,000 images in a minute and all of that type of thing. But this sounds like somebody that can also do a lot of fantasy in their head.
Exactly.
And so doesn't he probably can do the recall of it or make up a story about it too. So
exactly. And the story making part that you're referring to, Tami, is huge, because I'm not going to have a fantasy and have it be a bad fantasy. I mean, fantasies regardless. So I have a fantasy that I'm going to be a princess, right? Well, it's not going to end bad. I'm going to have it end in a good way. Now,
I'm going to send you a crown.
There, I was joking, but I would like to be a princess anyway. But we all fantasize about something, sometime in our life, something. What is it going to be like when I turn 70? What's it going to be like when I was 18 turning 25? I mean, we fantasize because our brain is always active. It's always going on. So there's a normal part of that, but it depends on what they're fantasizing about. If I'm looking looking at a picture and holding it, and I can visualize another scene in my head where this person may not have clothes on. Maybe I superimpose my past thought of what this person would look like, then that's going to give me that high and that rush that I'm looking for. And again, I'm in control of all of it. I'm in control of here and what I see and what I'm holding and what I'm looking at. And that's a harder one because they'll say, I'm not acting out. I'm not having sex with anyone. I'm not doing that, but it's objectifying another person. And if they're in a committed relationship, then it's taking away from the relationship that you two have together. And that's the damage that comes from it, besides possible escalation.
Yeah. Well, and I was thinking if he's fantasizing about, everything else, he's not fully present with with his spouse, with other people, employer,
Right.
and I mean, whatever. It's like that's a secret little place I can go to and numb out and get
Mhm.
away from, regardless of
Mhm.
any time. So
Mhm.
okay, next question. I'm the betrayed spouse. My husband is a typical doesn't get it. I'm so sorry. I just bought and read Out of the Doghouse, gave it to my husband. Should have thrown it at him. Dr. Rob says it all the time. It's paperback, so people that don't, it's not abuse. It's a paperback. It's light. So
That's right.
he is
That's
seeing
right.
a CSAT and has been to one SAA meeting. I think he needs to do a lot more. He gets angry when I say I need him to do more, use more tools. He says he's doing his best. Yeah. I want to
Do
do
wait
the
a minute.
stick my
Wait a minute.
finger down
Watch.
my throat on that one.
Right.
So
Wait a
yeah,
minute. Watch Tammy and I for a minute.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's right.
I'm not supposed to be involved in his recovery, and he says what I say I need him to do is not my business. Can I ask him to do more?
Oh,
Oh,
can
okay.
I say
Tearing my hair out.
warning? I know, warning, 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 danger. No, this is not okay. If this is, you are a betrayed spouse, which means your husband has acted out in some way in your committed relationship and acted out in some way outside of your marriage arena or outside of what you two have agreed is okay in your marriage. So that is a person that is active, maybe in here, in his addiction. I go to one meeting. I'm seeing a CSAT, maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. How do we even know that part? But I would say that I would
And
challenge them.
remember, I said lying for 11 years is the current record. Don't
There
know.
you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
There you go. And to get angry, anger is so many times used. If you're not an addict, then the secret is, right? I'm blowing the secret for everybody, is what we try to do, and I say we because I'm in recovery for a lot of other things, but you try to create an argument. If I can create an argument with you, then I can turn around and walk out that door and say, see, this is what you do. This is what you do all the time. And walk away and you're standing there going, what the heck did I do? Why are you on me with this? Well, it's a smoke screen for getting away to go do what you want to do. And I don't know this person, but I would really challenge him to make sure that he, as we say, up it a lot, with a sponsor, with a therapist, with meetings, with everything else, because he sounds like he's on, and I'm not judging, please, whoever the husband is. I'm just saying it sounds like you're on a really slippery slope if you are in recovery, and
I don't
and
think he is.
may
Like
may
this is not
possibly not
recovery at
be.
all. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is not
I
what
don't
we
even
know
know if he's
recovery to be.
abstinent. Like, and so I always go
Exactly.
abstinence, sobriety, and then recovery's the journey. And he'd be going, gosh, I feel, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
He'd be doing the Out of the Doghouse. You wouldn't have had to throw it at him, or give it to him. He would have he would have listened to the podcast himself. So, okay.
The last
So
words, Tammy, can I ask him to do more?
I would,
Respond
yeah.
to that one.
I'm going, what do you need? Let's talk about you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need for healthy boundaries? He can get angry. Do you need a therapeutic separation? I mean, he is not showing up in any way, shape, or form for this. I can give you, like, I'm trying. Oh, give me a break. So what are his actions? His actions are he's angry, he's resentful, he's blaming you. He's checking the little box with a CSAT. Did a CSAT do the online assessments? Have you had any sessions with his CSAT? Are you going there to give collateral information so that his CSAT knows he's not showing up and doing jack for doing any? Now, one of the things I don't know is how long. I don't think that was in there. So we don't know how long this has been. And if it was, the 2.5 weeks ago, it's not great. But if he's been like doing, like he's supposedly doing this and it's been, a month or more, honestly, that's just like that's nothing. And he's stuck, so let's, the compassionate part of me goes, this is a person who's stuck. Now, we heard earlier from someone who after years, he's finally getting it and they're 3 months into the journey, like, what do you need for you to set healthy boundaries? Like I said, therapeutic separation. Hopefully you're working with a qualified therapist to support you in a codependent lens. This is not your fault. Nothing you did or didn't do can do that. The more you can go, you can deflect the anger is for yourself, not buying into it. It's really hard. But the more, what I have found is the more partners are able to lean into each other and get support, the less his actions, the less his reactive impacts you. It still hurts because this guy is supposed to show up for you. He's supposed to be your partner. He's supposed to be the one. He can't be yet. But it is fair. I mean, I've had people that have said, therapeutic separation or treatment. He's a great candidate for treatment. And, and we have a business, don't get me wrong, but we provide expert treatment. I had the most lovely voicemail from a spouse whose husband recently got out. Like, I almost wept. It was so beautiful. Of like, she sees, she's hopeful. He changed. He was struggling. He was just flat out struggling. And this anger and the finger pointing and blaming, like, that stops. It has to. And but we give them the tools and we show them how to pick them up with their little hands and use them, not just leave them laying on the ground. So it can be different. I encourage you to do what you need to do for your safety, because and setting boundaries for you, because like I'm really sorry. People in recovery, we can be amazing people. We can do life differently. We can show up for people. I mean, I can be a good parent, grandparent, spouse. I can do all those. I'm an employee. I can do good things. I can also, in active addiction and probably in recovery, I can go the other way. I don't want to. I want to be the person who can show up for people and have integrity. So we can.
And Tammy, the next message may be the same person.
Discovery was from January of 2021. He lied for 6 months, disclosed a bit more, then full disclosure in October. He has been acting out for our entire 38-year relationship. He has been seeing his CSAT for several months. I don't think he's acting out, but not sure.
Right. It could be that it's the same person. And if it is, I want to comment about the very last statement that you made was, I'm not supposed to be involved in his recovery. And he says, when I say I need him to do more, it's not my business. Well, there's two different ways of, no, you cannot go to a meeting with him when it's a recovery meeting and it's a closed meeting. You cannot go to a meeting with him and sit there and listen to what he and the rest of the group says. So you can't do that. But as far as being involved in his recovery, you are involved in his recovery because you two are still living together. What I can tell, you are living every day with a person that is trying to hopefully work on recovery. And it looks like it's been 38 years together, and he's only been seeing somebody for, he's lied up to 6 months ago. So it's early recovery for him, and you're living in his recovery with him. So it's not that you can't be involved. I mean, that's a push away. It's you're involved because you care, whether you're seeing something different and things like that. And this is where it's a real good time to make sure that you are definitely in the groups Tammy is talking about, to be in the betrayed spouses group, so that you can get some more ideas of how do you take care of you? how do you be a part of a recovery process if you're not the person acting out? You're still there, you're still showing up, but how to help you know how to deal with that, because it's a whole different ball game if you're not the addict and you're somebody doesn't have a reason to be in recovery. If I'm explaining that right, Tami, and how you take care of yourself while you're doing it. So I just wanted to point that out, that you're living in his recovery with him if he's in recovery. So you are involved, just not the way that it seems like it's
and I'm
going.
but he's way too early and he's not showing the right actions to say recovery.
Right.
I hear what you're saying. He's not acting out. So abstinent and probably for a couple months. Over
Yep.
30-year relationship. So
Yeah.
we have a Sex Addiction 101 level 1 work group that starts Wednesday night, November 3rd.
Cool.
It is from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Pacific time for 6 weeks. It is a foundational piece. It is not therapy. It is not treatment. It is a really good component that he would have more tools to use and more information to take to CSAT. It's $350 for 6 weeks, live facilitated. One of our staff, Jason, is leading this one. It's really good. It's not going to fix him, but it will give him. He'll have a solid 3-circle plan, and you can find out what his 3-circle plan is. I mean, it's good information. It's also connecting. Is what I bet he isn't doing is joining the men's drop-in groups. He's gone to one SA meeting. He's not connected to other addicts. This would be another opportunity for him to get some peer support too. So we are out of time. Thank you all.
Aww.
Keep coming back. Thanks, Karen, for joining
I
me
know,
tonight.
I had a great
We'll
time.
do it again. Yeah,
I appreciate this.
So
Everyone,
I will
take care.
Yeah, join us online. Email me, Tami, Tami at seekingintegrity.com if you've got any questions. Thank you all for being here. There is help. There is hope. We can do life differently, and it's hard to be in the middle of it. So, okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Take care.